What is up, Nickel City Mafia? I felt like StreamYard was having some difficulties there. Did you see a little glitching going on there, Jake?
I didn't. I was good on my end, Mike. I don't know.
Okay, maybe it was just on my end, but welcome everyone. Week 9 of the NFL season here. We got a great game, interdivision, AFC East, Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. We're going to be bringing on, I'm so excited about this show. We're going to be bringing on some longtime Jets fans, a father, son, good friends of mine from, I met him years ago. I used to work with the one gentleman that we're going to introduce about 17 years ago. Met his son when he was only 7 years old. And he reminded me of you, Jake. I mean, he's all into the stats. He's all into the data. Good guy. And it's going to be a fun show. So how you doing, man?
I'm great. I will say, though, I'm going to have to open one of these because we're dealing with some Jets fans. But I'm sure they're great guys. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
And if you haven't checked out that SNL skit from last night, the Bills and Jets fans, hysterical. One of the funniest things I've seen in quite some time from SNL.
We have them in the green room. I want to thank you for being able to go get them some Barbell wings, get some really good food for these guys. That was how we were able to get them on the show.
Yep.
They're in the green room enjoying some. What'd you end up getting them? What kind of sauce on there?
We did some Cajun honey butter barbecue, and then we did some medium wings. The traditional medium wings, but nothing's traditional about Barbell. They're one in their own, and it's incredible stuff. So I'm sure they enjoyed the heck out of it. So Mike, bring them in.
Celery and blue cheese as well, right?
The whole shebang. The whole shebang.
All right, before I bring him in real quick, actually I'll bring him in right now. Let's go, because we'll talk about a little bit of injury report, and then of course there's no weather to talk about. But let me bring him in here. Let's bring in Mr. Randy, King Randy, and Jackson Farner. How you doing, guys? How's
We're doing good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. So
we're thrilled to be part of this experience. And we're looking forward to do a little bit of course correction with you guys if we can.
I love that.
I love it as well. So real quick before I start asking these guys some questions here, we might as well talk about the injury report. So on the Bills side, we Spencer Brown, he's questionable. Matt Milano is questionable, but we heard he's out. I believe everything points to him being out. And then Jordan Poyer is out as well. On the injury report for the Jets, Corey Davis, one of their top receivers, he's out. And then James Robinson popped up on the injury report yesterday. He's questionable, but everything I read says that they are optimistic that he'll play. So he's a game-time decision there. So pretty good injury reports. I mean, in the past, we had 5, 6, 7 guys, and everyone seems pretty good to go. Milano's a big loss for us, huge loss. But you guys, on the Jets side, you guys get back Jermaine Johnson. So Jackson, that's a big ad for you guys this week, right?
Oh, I'm super excited to get him back. He the first few weeks he really was turning it on, and then he had that injury that took him out for a few weeks. But excited to get him back. Get some pressure on Josh Allen today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have a lot of depth at the edge, which is awesome. But before we get into all the details, I gotta start with you, Mr. King Randy. First of all, tell me the backstory. Why a Jet fan? Tell me that backstory.
It's a blessing and a curse, I'll be honest with you. So as a little guy back growing up in eastern Pennsylvania, my mom had a couple of passions in life, sports-wise. Mickey Mantle for the Yankees and Joe Namath for the Jets. I suspect she loved Joe Namath more than my father, but I don't want to go into that. And she just kind of sucked me into that Jet hell at times, but it's been a good ride. And being a loyal Pennsylvania guy, blue collar, you just stick with your team. And it's been rough. Interesting, my first football memory goes back to Super Bowl III. I was, what was I, maybe 6 years old. And I wasn't into football at the time, but we used to play backyard football, where we played between the neighbor's driveway and our house. Those are the sidelines, right?
Yeah.
Tree to tree with the end zones. We've all been there.
I love it.
And we're out there playing 2-on-2. And my mom is screaming in the house. Back in the day, we had one television, and it was downstairs in the rec room. And I just heard her screaming through the walls. And I went in like, what's going on? And I remember looking down the stairs, and you could see the TV, and I saw the beautiful green of it was played in Miami, right?
Yeah.
The Orange Bowl.
Yep.
Beautiful green with this going on. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? And I recall that memory. And then a few years later, I started watching the games, And I kind of asked my mom about that one time. Like, yeah, remember that time you screamed? He goes, that was Super Bowl III. That's when Joe Namath, beat the Colts and blah, blah, blah. That was my earliest memory of football. And I didn't even know it was football at the time, but I still have that memory, which is really
that's awesome.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, because that was 1969 when that game was on, and they were huge underdogs to the then Baltimore Colts. And interesting story for those that don't know that history, Joe Namath actually guaranteed the victory like 3 days before the game, and sure enough, he came through. So I think not only your mom, but lots of ladies out there love Mr. Joe Namath. He was all over the television.
He's a playboy.
He was for sure. So that's awesome. But I was talking before the game, before the show, I was like, man, Randy had a bunch of options, and he steered his kid down the wrong direction, unfortunately. I mean, he grew up in Pennsylvania. He could have went Steelers, Eagles, Bills, but he ends up going to a New Jersey team, the Jets. So, but Jackson has supported his dad the whole time. Jackson, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about being forced down the path of the Jets?
It's been a pretty rough 10-year stretch. But it seems like things might be turning around with the new GM, new head coach. Feels optimistic.
Yeah, I love that. Randy, so first of all, I want to know about this King Randy thing. What's going on with that?
Oh, well, sports related again. Growing up in Southern California, we had a neighborhood with 66 kids on our cul-de-sac.
Wow.
And right next to our house was a pocket park. It's a little pocket park where the kids would go out and they'd play soccer and baseball and football. And I'm kind of old school, so I always taught my kids, to address adults as, Mr. Thornton or Mr. Podger.
Yeah.
Unless they're Bills fans, they might use some other terms.
Of course.
And I was always playing with the kids, and Jackson can attest to this. So, I always want to be out there, and I was the all-time quarterback, so we'd get like 3-on-3, and I was the all-time quarterback throwing the ball, and it just felt awkward. I didn't like kids calling me Randy. I like to show them respect, but Mr. Farner sounded too formal, so I don't know how it came up, but it came up King Randy. So all the kids in the neighborhood knew King Randy. They'd come knocking on my door. I'd be in the middle of a work day, working from home sometimes. Can King Randy come out and play? We need a quarterback.
Oh, that's freaking incredible! Wow.
I love it. So one thing you can't see, Jake, is that first of all, this family's very sports oriented, but both King Randy and Jackson, I think they're about 6'4". These are big guys, right? Am I right there, Randy? Are you right there as well?
Right there.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So these guys have been in the sports all their lives, and they have a younger son as well who was more into baseball, I think. He was a very good baseball player, actually. And he's at Boise as well. So good, very cool stuff. I got to ask you real quick, Randy, who is your all-time favorite Jets player?
It's I have to go Namath all time because I saw him play, and I saw him play in some key moments. Again, you may not remember 72 against the Colts. Namath threw 15 for 28, 496 yards. And I saw that game. It was on TV. And Johnny Unitas was on the other side, threw for like 370, 380 yards. It was a shootout. And that was a game. Again, that's the first game that just sticks in my head. And then watching him get injured year after year. 71, I saw him go down against the Lions in a preseason game. He threw a pick. I think it was a pick six. He went to make the tackle, got rolled over, wiped him out for the year. So you just lived and breathed Joe Namath if you're a Jets fan in that era, because without him, they were mediocre to poor. And with him, there's always a chance of just that great performance. So
yeah,
I love it. 15 for 28, King Randy.
Yes.
You know what that equates to yards per catch wise? I mean, back in the day, they were slinging it. Those receivers averaged so many more yards per catch. They weren't doing these little slant routes. I mean, they were going for it all every play. It was wild. I remember. I don't remember.
First two drives.
Yeah.
Drops back, 80-yard bomb. I think one was Richard Castor, and I think Eddie Bell or maybe Castor got the second one. So his first two completions were like 160 yards. It was insane. That's 33 awesome. Yards per reception.
Wow.
Man, different league back then.
And then going through the years, Greg Buttle, a great linebacker in the 70s, he was a legacy member of my fraternity. I went to Penn State.
Oh,
Go
nice.
Lions. We are. And he was a fraternity brother of mine before my time. But he came once, and I spent like 2 hours talking football Jets with Greg Buttle, and really was always a big fan of his. Lance Mel, Wesley Walker. I mean, we've had some greats through the year. The New York Sack Exchange, just all time great,
That's
exciting,
awesome.
right? So
Yeah.
a lot of good memories to go with the other side of it.
That's good stuff. I actually did also remember seeing Namath play. I was fortunate enough to see him. Of course, it was the older Namath. It was after his knees were kind of shot, so I didn't get to see primetime Joe, but I did get to see him, which was awesome to kind of remember that. So let me throw it to you, Jackson. You know, a little bit younger. Who's your favorite all-time Jet player?
So when I first started watching, it was around like 2008, 2009, and that was when the Jets went to like back-to-back AFC Championship games, and Rex Ryan was the coach. So I just grew up being a defensive guy, so I have to go with Revis, just being able to shut down pretty much every receiver that he lined up against. It was pretty cool. And then I'll just say Brandon Marshall from our 2015 run. Those are the two guys that just stick out to me.
Did you guys love having Fitzy as the quarterback? I mean, how fun was he?
He was
He
was
gave
fun.
you a chance.
You didn't know if he's going to throw a touchdown or like 4 picks in a game. He was a slinger.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Eric Decker was on my fantasy team every year. That guy would score a touchdown every game. I don't know how, but he would.
Oh yeah,
that was a great
so
receiving core.
That was a really fun team to watch.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Fitzy was love-hate. Like,
hey, we dealt with the same pain over here. So.
You suffered, Fitzy. So
yep.
Yeah, for sure. So did the many teams, the Dolphins as well. I mean, he'd always start off red hot, like, oh my God, he'd get the big contract, and he'd break your heart down at the towards the end of the season.
Oh, he'd kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 TDs one week, 4 picks the next.
So I was asking you before the show started, Randy. Maybe you can educate us. Where does this JETS Jets come from? I mean, and you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Last time I watched the game with you.
Well, the rumor is, it's unsubstantiated, but the rumor is, going back to the old AFL when they were competing with the New York Football Giants, best team in New York at the time, probably, Mike.
Still not a New York team.
I mean, New Jersey. I don't know what you're talking about, Randy. Keep going though.
But they're trying to get some enthusiasm for the Jets. So who are these Jets, and what's this all about? So that chant actually originated from the cheerleaders trying to teach the Jet fans, the New York fans, how to spell Jets.
That's incredible. I love that.
So that is the rumor, but it's unsubstantiated.
Oh, that's funny. So tell me about. So first of all, I know you guys have had some coaching issues throughout the past, but now you got Robert Saleh, a very defensive oriented minded coach who, and it's no surprise why your defense is doing what they're doing right now because of him. But you got the right guy there. Let me throw it to Jackson first. Are you happy with Saleh? You like what you see there, and what difference does he bring from coaches in the past that you've had?
So I would say from coaches in the past with like Todd Bowles and then Adam Gase, just no enthusiasm. None of the players seem to like have his back fully. And then Saleh comes in, just a player's coach, enthusiastic, always like in the guy's face, getting him going. And the young team just seems to rally around him and really play for him. So that's what I really like about him. And then I just feel like his defensive play calling this year is just way better than last year. I just feel like he knows how to run a team better than last year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator in what was it? I forget, a couple years ago.
San Fran.
For the Niners when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Right. So young guy, yeah, I love him. He's like you said, he gets that team fired up. Randy, you happy with him as well?
Yes, and it frustrates me, some of the Jet fans not showing much patience with him. But if you go back the last decade or so, I mean, Rex Ryan was great in terms of a motivator. But he went over the line to silliness, to goofiness, to just being goofy, right? Which you don't want in your head coach. But he did rally a good roster in the 2 AFC Championship runs, which was to his credit. But then you get kind of sick of that game.
Yeah.
And then we bring in like 2 robots, Todd Bowles, Adam Gase.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just nothing there. And now as I look at Saleh and I see the motivator that we had in Rex, which I loved, right? But he seems to be smart. He seems to really know the game. He's intense. When he's over on the sidelines, just getting jazzed up, you know the team loves that. his whole his receipt comment. Remember a few weeks back, I'm taking receipts. It's like, I don't even know what that means to this day, but I kind of do. I'm like, yeah, you don't need to say that. Just take your passion, get that team motivated. And I think the rallying behind him, and I think the rallying behind the receipts, and now it's paying off. So you got to have patience. You got to have patience with new coach. You got to have patience with players. Zach Wilson, to just switch topics slightly. It's like, the jury's still out, but he needs a little bit of time. I mean, come on, guys. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect segue because that's what I was going to talk to you guys next. You spent the second round pick overall last year on Zach Wilson. And the young kid, he's only played 18 games. He was injured last year, he was injured this year. This is only going to be his 19th game, official NFL game. But I wanted to ask you, and I'll start with you, Jackson. When they made the pick for Zach Wilson at number 2, there were other quarterbacks. But what was your thought then when they took him, and what's your thoughts now? Coming into the season.
When we took him, that was the quarterback I really wanted. So I was ecstatic. He had the arm strength, he had the mobility, and I was really stoked with the pick. But now I feel like you have half the Jet fans that want to burn him in the fire, get rid of him. Then you have the other half that are like optimistic, think he still might have it. And I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle right now, where I think he still, I think he has all the talent in the world, but it's the mental side of the game he needs to work on. Like last week, when he threw 3 picks to the Patriots, he was just lobbing footballs up just for grabs, and that you have to throw the ball away. So he has to work on the mental side of the game, I think.
Yeah. Randy, let me ask you this. When I think I texted you after the draft, and I said, oh, my God, you guys have an amazing draft. And your first thing back – what's that?
This past draft?
Yeah, this past draft.
Yeah.
And I said, I mean, are you happy? He goes, we didn't address the offensive line. I mean, so part of this problem, right, is that he's running for his life a lot of the times. I don't know. What are your thoughts there, Randy, as far as Zach Wilson goes?
Yeah, the O-line it's been a liability for a few years now, right? And what you see in Zach, he's got great mobility. I mean, but he drops back in 1.5, 2 seconds. He's dodging and getting out. Then he'll do make some stupid throws, but he's very mobile. But you look back to the early season when he was hurt, and you had Flacco in there. Flacco had the same line, and he's a statue back there. He was taking the sacks, but he was still getting the stats. I mean, he was still getting completions. So it's like what doesn't jive in my mind is, okay, Wilson's able to get himself more time. Well, Flacco was pretty successful. Flacco was throwing, close to 300 yards a couple of games. So it's confusing to me how he's so mobile, he's getting free. Are there same receivers, different routes? I mean, why isn't he making completions out of his mobility? And then as Jackson pointed out, the maturity level. He's just throwing balls up. He's throwing into crowds. It's like, why are you doing something like that? I don't know. So the jury's out. You see potential, and then a couple fourth quarter against Pittsburgh. Fourth quarter, he turned it on. He's just firing lasers down the field. And then Jackson and I were at the Denver game a few weeks ago. There were some wide open receivers, 15, 20 yards down the field. He's missing them by 5, 10 yards.
Wow.
So the inconsistency, the immaturity, just leave a lot to question. And he brings it on himself, right? But, you still get back your guy. And when you see the potential, you're like, okay, let's emphasize what's working and figure out how to eliminate what's not.
So, Jake, you watch a lot of college football. What do you think when they took Zach Wilson? I mean, Trey Lance was out there, Justin Fields, Mac Jones was still available. What was your thought when the Jets took Zach Wilson?
I think the Jets wanted that, though. They wanted someone that was more mobile, someone that can get outside of the pocket, create those explosive, dynamic plays. And, we see that a lot. I think if the first read's not open, Zach Wilson's scrambling outside of the pocket, and then he makes an errant throw, and he tries to force things when he shouldn't. It's very common in a young quarterback. But, hey, year 3 is usually when they take off, guys. So I will say we had to be a little patient with Josh Allen as well. Obviously, different story, but kind of similar in a sense where Josh, even still to this day sometimes, and I think he's gotten so much better at it, but he'll stay in the pocket. But oftentimes, the second he sees any type of pressure or anything like that, he doesn't like to sit in the pocket. He likes to roll out, and he almost panics and forces these throws. And it's like you sit there and you kind of like scratch your head and you're wondering what the hell is going on. I think you see a lot of that with Zach Wilson. You got to give it a little bit more time. I think he's coming along. I mean, the guy's 4-1 as a starter. Now, credit to his defense. They've definitely bailed him out of a lot of situations. But as you mentioned, it is interesting because you look at what Joe Flacco did, what even Josh Johnson and Mike White did last year. I mean, both those guys put up numbers too. And you're wondering why the same thing isn't happening with this second overall pick who's supposed to be this stud quarterback, right? And I think part of that is him just trusting, first off, himself more. And second off, I guess, maybe not trying to force these crazy errant throws, just sitting in the pocket and making those throws. And it's tough. You always go back to the whole thing where he's a shorter quarterback. You could have gotten a guy that's a little bit bigger, a little bit taller. It's tough to see over the line. So maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's why he's scrambling outside of the pocket. There's a lot of things that factor into that. But for me, I think you got to give it a little more time. He's 4-1. He's 4-1 as a starting quarterback. So let's just ride it out this year. You can't get on him too much if the team's winning games. Obviously, you'd like to have a guy back there that's not going to turn the ball over as much, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens today.
Yeah, good stuff. I do want to say, I always forget to say this. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, and most importantly, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. I want to say hi to a few folks in the channel and get some of these comments.
Yeah, pull them up here.
Pretty funny here. Uncle Jay say, I might go back to drinking, having to listen to the Jersey fans. I love it. Let's see here. We got Chris Tebow out there. Let's see anybody else talking about smack about the Jets here. Oh, he said, Uncle Jay says, I believe the Jets GM said they were going to follow the Bills model for building a team.
I want to talk about that for a second. How do you guys feel about Joe Douglas? He's now gone through 2 starting quarterbacks, 2 of these guys that are supposed to be. I mean, Sam Darnold was totally ruined from this whole coaching staff. I mean, Adam Gase, and then you have before or after Adam Gase, who else did you get? I mean, it was Adam Gase and then Robert Saleh, right? So
yeah,
right.
That was, I feel like they totally ruined him. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen with Zach Wilson. But how do you feel about Joe Douglas?
I absolutely love Joe Douglas. So we got him in 2020 in his first draft. That was when Adam Gase was the coach, and that draft was absolutely horrible. There's no starters from that draft. And then when they got Robert Saleh in 2021 and 2022, those past 2 drafts have been absolutely outstanding. He has drafted 11, 12 starters, completely flipped the roster. And his free agency last year, or 2 seasons ago, it wasn't great. We got Corey Davis, who's been okay, and then this past offseason, I feel like DJ Reed was a great acquisition. Jordan Whitehead, we got Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama. He's really been able to flip this entire roster to finally start winning some games.
What do you think, Randy?
I like that.
Jackson summed it up great. I think this last draft, I mean, it's amazing. It feels like remember the Steeler draft from '72. I think they got 4 Hall of Famers out of it. I mean, it feels like one of those classes where we got some amazing talent. Like, let's see how it plays out, obviously. But if I was a Bills fan, I'd be getting some green dye for those jerseys.
Get out of here. No way. We'll never do that. I don't care if the team's 0-17. It'll never happen.
I want to say, so Uncle Jay also says, we kind of said this, Rex made the game about him. Big Al coming in. Big Al is Jake's dad, by the way. Yep. He says, Zach's in trouble with our D-line. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit for sure. He's going to have his hands full. The Jets are giving up almost average of 3 sacks per game, and the Bills are averaging on the defense getting 3 sacks a game. So I'm expecting some trouble there for that O-line. Let's see. We got Joe's.
Good take by Joe. Yeah.
Joe's saying he's only taking his first read. He's not going through all his progressions, looking for lights out throw every time isn't the way to go.
True.
So, that just comes with being a youngster, right?
Pretty much. I think that's just part of the growing pains, unfortunately. And we saw it with Josh Allen, as I said. I mean, he did the same thing. He still does it from time to time. Obviously, way better, and his accuracy has improved tremendously over the years. So I think it's just, it's a timing thing. And the 3rd year, man, that's when they usually break out. So you'll know after year 3 whether or not you got a guy.
Yeah. Quick comment on Wilson. If you go back to last year, his rookie year, he started kind of throwing the home run ball a lot. Remember, early on, he had a lot of interceptions.
Yeah.
And then he was out a little bit. He got hurt. And then Josh Johnson came in, big game. Mike White, big game. Just throwing the 10 to 15 yard range passes. And then I think they got to Wilson and really pushed him to control it. Because, he only throws the bomb, the Hail Mary once in a while now, and with some success. So I think he's just trying to just find himself, right? And I don't. It doesn't feel like he's in sync with the coordinator, because White, if he's a better talent than Mike White was pretty sharp for a few games. Like, well, why isn't he having a little more of that success?
Right.
It's a little bit of a puzzle. So I don't know. We'll see.
It seems
Yeah,
to me
a
that
lot
he
of
plays
people-
scared. Like he seems like he plays like he's afraid to make the
Yes.
mistake when you just have to play loose and just trust your instincts.
Absolutely, Jackson. I agree with that. Yep.
Yep, Uncle Jay's saying Joe Montana made a living on checking down, and so did Brady. So, I think that has to be their game plan, especially going into this game, kind of like what Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were doing last week. But I'll ask you guys that in a little bit.
So, well, that's the thing. So, do you think Michael Carter is that guy? I mean, it's unfortunate you lose Breece Hall, who looked like he was going to be. I mean, he was going to be Rookie of the Year. He looked so damn good, and he's killing it. And then he tears an ACL, and it's like that's got to be just a total blow for you guys, unfortunately. And Michael Carter's now in. You got James Robinson, who is going to be. It looks like Michael Carter's going to take over the lead back role, but they're going to kind of filter in, James Robinson when they need to. But how do you feel about the running back situation? Talking about check down.
Like my dad and I were actually at the Bronco game where we lost him, and as Jets fans, after we lost Breece Hall, it just kind of sucked the air out of us. Like
That's brutal.
Just a stab in the heart, But I think Michael Carter and James Robinson could be a great duo. We got James Robinson, who's more of a one cut, get up the field, bulldozer type of guy. And we got Michael Carter, who's more of a shifty guy, he
can catch passes too.
Yeah, very good out of the catching the ball. So I think it's a good duo, but it's without Breece Hall, it's just not the same. But it still could be productive.
Yeah, Breece Hall was a guy that a lot of Bills fans wanted. There was a lot of upset Bills Mafia when we didn't take Breece Hall in the first round. I feel we made the right choice going cornerback with Kyrie Elam, but my dad, for one, wanted Breece Hall, and he was so upset. Pretty funny, but I believe. I mean, they pivoted quickly to get James Robinson. I love Robinson. I mean, he was a 1,000-yard back rusher a couple years back. And he's a great out of the backfield. So
he's very good.
Yeah, I think he'll fill in nicely. I think Breece will be back, obviously, full health next year for you guys, but again, big loss there. So I wanted to ask you guys, obviously you had a great draft, and that's contributing to the big turnaround this year. By the way, Tom, I want to tell you, you guys add to the Super Chat. Super Chat is a way for folks that can donate to our channel and actually, get their chats right up to the top, and we talk about them. We don't qualify yet our channel, Tom, but I appreciate you asking that for sure.
We'll get there someday.
We'll get there soon, yeah.
Well, after this Jets show, I think you may increase subscription.
We got a decent amount of viewers out there. It looks like we got 14, 15. We've been up there in the teens here for the show, guys. So don't be shy out there if you're watching. Put in a couple comments here. I know my mother-in-law is watching out there. Shout out to my mother-in-law, Pam Schreiber. Love you. Hope you're still watching. Hope you didn't turn us off just yet. But if you are watching, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure we might have some Jet fans watching out there. We love all fan bases there. So hit that subscribe button, join us, and be thankful that we're kicking off the new careers for both Jackson and King Randy. They're going to start their own podcast in the near future.
The Jets don't have enough of that, right? The New York media is brutal. I can imagine. Yeah. You guys need to kind of bring that down a notch. Be a little more lighthearted. I feel like you guys can do it.
Yeah, let's see. Joseph's saying, well, they did get some really good tools to work with Elijah Moore and definitely with the rookie year on Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, talk to me about that draft, Jackson. I mean, it was a stud draft. I mean, you got Gardner,
Wilson. My first impressions after we drafted Sauce, I wanted Kayvon Thibodeau, actually, because we needed a pass rusher. So we got Sauce. I was like, well, what are we going to do now? Because we need a pass rusher and we need a receiver. So then we take Garrett Wilson, who's been an absolute stud. So then we got a corner, we got a receiver. Now we need our end. What are we gonna do? Jermaine Johnson just keeps falling and falling and falling. And I'm with my buddies. I'm like, we got to do something. We got to move up. We need him. And then we get the call in. The Jets move up, and I was like, it's gonna be Johnson. It's gonna be Johnson. And we got him. So we got our 3 positions that we needed. And then second round came around, and I was like, I wanted a safety because our safety position's arguably one of our weakest. And then we get Breece Hall, who's just turned out to be an absolute stud. And then we got Max Mitchell, who was our right tackle before the injury. He filled in very nicely. And we have Michael Clemens, he's been a very good 4th round rookie as another end. So this draft has just been incredible.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, when I saw that draft, I was like, oh my God, these Jets are going to get good in a hurry. But I didn't expect it to turn around as quickly as it did, right? It takes time to
It
get
does,
these
yeah.
guys, gel in your system. But credit to Robert Saleh and the coaching staff there because they did it.
Yeah, as Jet fans coming into the season, like before the bye, because we had such a hard schedule, we were like, if we have 3, 4 wins, like that's a good
You're
good
feeling
first
good.
8 weeks. And now we're
Yeah.
looking at 5-3 right now, chance to go 6-3, which is just incredible. Like it's just a great turnaround.
Yeah, it looks like we lost your dad. Maybe a power failure in Colorado. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully he'll join us. But I did want to ask you and him, like, how do Jets fans see the Buffalo Bills and think about Bills Mafia? How do you perceive us?
I love Bills Mafia. I love the jumping on the tables, the beer drinking, the rowdy fans. I love it. But as a team, I personally think the Bills are the best team in the NFL. I think their only weakness, in my opinion, is the running back, which they just filled with Naheem Hines. So I don't know if they have any holes right now. I don't know. I don't see anyone beating them.
Well, we love to hear that. We
Yeah.
certainly do. And Big L, he's saying, hey, I think King Randy and Jackson are killing it. They're doing a great job, and they represent the Jets very well. So good job, Jackson. I'm telling you, this is the,
great job
the
by you guys.
start of your career.
Oh, I would
for
love
sure.
doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very, very much like Jake. Jake would love to do this for like ESPN or some other big.
Dude, let's just sit in a room together and just talk stats all day. Let's just
Just
bring
all
up like
day,
old
yeah.
players and stuff like that. Yesterday, I don't know if you remember these guys, but yesterday I'm walking and we're in downtown Buffalo and there's, a bunch of Bills fans out and whatnot doing bar crawls and whatnot. But we saw a couple people wearing Jets jerseys. And the one guy's wearing a 29 jersey. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, and it's one of the, like, it looks like from the mid 2000s, right? So I go up to him and I'm like, hey, man, is that I don't know if you remember this name. I said, is that Donnie Abraham? Because I'm a psychopath and I just remember these random players. And I remember Donnie Abraham wore 29. He played there for 3 years from like 02 to 04. It wasn't. It was actually Leon Washington, who
Oh, I
was really
remember him.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a stud, man. He was really good. He was a really good kick returner. He used to kill the Bills every time we played him. So I'm like, that is cool to see. I just did actually a video the other day. So NFL Network on Good Morning Football, they have this segment called Not New Jersey. And it's basically people photographing other people in the wild wearing the most random jerseys, like of these older players, within however long ago, right? So I'm like, man, that could have really qualified as one of those. And it was pretty cool to see. But Leon Washington, great name,
He
man.
was great.
Just had to
I
bring that
was
up.
pretty young when he played, so I don't remember him too much.
Yeah, it was
But-
like 06,
Yeah, so I was like
06.
5 to 7, 5 to 8 when
Yeah.
he was on the Jets. So I was pretty young,
Yep.
but I forget
Yeah.
against two the kick return. That play just sticks out in my head.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
He was so damn good, man.
he was.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, King Randy. We were just asking Jackson how Jets fans see the Bills, like what they think of them, what they think of Bills Mafia. He gave his great take. What's your thoughts on Bills Mafia and the Bills?
That's funny. I hadn't heard of the Bills Mafia until just a few years ago. And sorry, by the way, my computer, I have some spam filters, and it picked up all this Bills vibe. And it said, this must be an attack of some sort, and it shut me down. So I called my cable provider, and I said, no, it's legitimate good old Mafia. And they said, okay. All right. Anyway, I hadn't heard of the Bills Mafia, but until just a few years ago. I'll tell you, my perception, like right now, to me, the Bills feel like the 800-pound gorilla. There's a lot of hype, a lot of expectation. The tough, and they've always played the Jets tough, right? And that the defense has been so tough, and even more so than Dolphins are very talented. Freaking Patriots, they beat us, even though I thought we were going to get them finally. But the Bills are the team now. They just feel like, how are we going to beat these guys, right? I don't see an easy path to do that. Whereas with the other teams, like, okay, if we can handle Tua and the receivers with our corners, we got a solid chance against Miami, as we saw. The Bills, it's just hard to see an easy path to victory. It's gonna be a tough game. We'll get to predictions, I'm sure, here shortly. But they scare me even more so than the Chiefs at this point.
Andy, Randy, you missed this. I want you to know that the channel's actually loving the show with you and Jackson, so you need to start your own. They say you're killing it, so great job there, Randy, and appreciate you jumping back on.
Thank you, Big Al.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You mentioned, and I know Jackson was talking to me yesterday about Sauce Gardner, and let's talk about that matchup. First of all, I want to ask you guys. So we hear in social media, we hear from Jets fans that Gardner and Reed are as good or better than Revis and Cromartie. Is that really what you feel? Throw it to Jackson first.
I wouldn't say that level yet, just because Revis is one of the best corners of all time. But I think as of right now, like PFF just came out with their rating of their top corners. Sauce Gardner is ranked number 2. DJ Reed ranked number 5. It's harder to get much better than that. And Sauce, I just saw a stat this morning that his past 3 games, he hasn't lit up 3 catches and under 20 yards. So he has been on fire. And every single time the ball's thrown his way, his hands are on him. He's on the receiver's hips. He is just outstanding.
So do you see that the Jets having him blanket Diggs all over the field?
No, I don't think so, because we usually have DJ Reed and Sauce, they have their own sides. And we're running more man now because they trust the corners, but we don't run much man. It's a lot more zone. But I do think we will run more man coverage this game just because of how good Diggs is. And I think Diggs is the X factor for the Bills this game.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Jake, on Gardner?
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's lengthy. He's 6'3", 201. As a corner, going out and doing these things, I mean, he's physical. He's unbelievable with his ball skills as well. I mean, when they do throw at him, he's as good as it gets, man. I mean, you guys hit a home run with that pick. He's just – I think going back to, we were talking a little bit about your draft, I think really every pick in the first 2 rounds at least, I mean, you guys – got incredible value. I mean, you got the best receiver in the class. You got the best corner in the class. You got Jermaine Johnson late. You got the best running back in the class. I mean, that's awesome. That's a great job right there in the draft. And I know you talked about the safeties, but you got Jordan Whitehead and you have LaMarcus Joyner. LaMarcus Joyner is leading the team in interceptions right now. He's got, 3 interceptions this year. I really think, those safeties are still a little suspect, I think, and, you can't get deep on them. I expect Gabe Davis to actually have a pretty big day today. Just because he is sort of like that guy. He's our deep threat, quote unquote, this year. But I'm curious to see how they play us. If they're going to sit too high for most of the game, if they're going to play a lot of zone, if they're going to play a little bit of press, it'll be really interesting to see. But I am excited to see Steph and Sauce go at it today for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the big matchups.
It's going to get chippy. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure Diggs will have a few tricks up his sleeve, but I think Gardner's going to hold his own. We'll see. So let's get into that. Let's get into the paths of victory. Randy, you kind of said it. I'm sorry, you had some thoughts?
Yeah, my thought on the Cromartie Revis.
Okay.
I'm going with their equivalent. I'm going with their equivalent, not because Sauce is as good as Revis yet,
right,
but that Reed is better than Cromartie. So I think on balance, 2 of them, because Cromartie was an incredible athlete. Remember his. I mean, he was just an amazing athlete, but he wasn't always as smart as a football player. He would make the stupid penalty, or he, mess up coverage once in a while. So he got a lot of hype. He got a lot of interceptions one year just on pure athleticism. But I think as a football player, I think Reed, Gardner, their talent combined is equivalent to the Cromartie, Revis combined talent, if that makes sense.
Ooh. I like it. I think it's a good evaluation. I think it's very bold to say, King Randy, because Antonio Cromartie, I mean, that guy had 1,000 career interceptions. I mean, there were some years he had 10 interceptions the one year.
He had 10 or 11 one year, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he was unbelievable. So
supposed to be a smart football player, in my opinion.
I agree with that. And I think that's the side where definitely DJ Reed is showing. I mean, he's definitely in an elite category on that side of it for sure.
Yeah.
So big deal.
Gardner's like his closing speed.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, he is
to Dion, right? Prime.
Yeah, he is as close to the next Terrell Revis as we're going to get. I think. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how his career pans out. But if he keeps this up, I mean, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats for sure.
Yeah, and his confidence, like he came in and like, okay, you're going to do the zone coverage, and he goes, okay, I can handle that. Like,
yeah,
okay, no problem. Like throw it at him, and you just got to love that. And he's humble.
He is, yeah. And you know what? If there's a way to be humble while also having that swagger, because he walked out of that Packers game wearing a cheese head, which I absolutely love. I mean, that's awesome. That swagger right there, right? And he's having fun and stuff. He's not picking on Packers fans or anything like that. He's having a good time out there, which I love. You love to see that. You got to love the game more than anything, and he definitely does. So it's
No,
it's
that was
awesome,
just
man.
cheese sauce. That's all it was, cheese sauce.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. A little bit of queso.
Okay.
We got Big L coming in with the inactives for the Bills. Trey White. Actually, that's a surprise. I had been hearing that he might play this week, but they're playing it extra safe with him.
I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah, Poyer's out. I mean, and Milano's out. Spencer Brown was a surprise. I'm not quite a big surprise, but he's out. And then Tommy Sweeney is inactive as well. So let's get back to that question. Path to victory. I'm going to have it Jackson start us off. What's the path to victory for your Jets? And give me your prediction, man. And give me a bold prediction. We like to do this, right? Give a score prediction and give me a bold prediction.
So I would say on the offensive side of the ball, Zach Wilson, obviously, he can't have 3 turnovers again. He needs to keep the ball safe, play it smart, play it safe. And then we need to run the ball early. We can't be having 3rd and longs. We can't be having Zach try to scramble, make plays. 3rd and short, slants, like east to west moves, like pre-snap motion, that type of stuff. Make it easier on Zach's life. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think we got to stop Stephon Diggs. You got to make Dawson Knox beat us, Gabriel Davis beat us, the running backs beat us, but you cannot let Diggs beat us. And then I say keep Josh Allen in the pocket. Don't let him scramble, because when he scrambles with his legs, he just makes some crazy plays sometimes. And I say constant pressure too. But
do you think? Let me ask you real quick, Jackson. Are they going to be able to get to Josh with? I think they like to rush 4, similar to what the Bills do, right?
Yeah, we only rush 4. We blitz. Okay. We rarely blitz. Yeah, with Quentin Williams playing the way he is at an All-Pro level and Carl Lawson playing at a Pro Bowl level, I think we could beat any offensive line in the league right now. Our defensive line is playing out of their minds, so I think we could get pressure on them. But I also think the Bills are smart enough to have Josh Allen make quick throws and outsmart the defense. So it'll be a good test.
All right. So what's your score prediction, Jackson?
My score prediction is I think Bills 27, Jets 17 or 20.
Wow, your dad is so disappointed in you right now. You had that was your moment right there, man. You could have predicted an upset.
Because the line right now is at 11.5 points and the Bills favored. I think the Jets beat the line. I don't think we're at that Bills level yet. We still got a year or 2 left.
All right. I like it. Randy, your thoughts, path to victory for the Jets. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back to Jackson. Give me your bold prediction for this game.
Bold prediction, I'm going to say Sauce gets 2 picks.
Whoa.
Ooh, wow.
That's huge. All right. I love it. Let's go to Randy. Randy, your path to victory for the Jets and your score prediction and bold prediction.
Starting on defense, I think it's clear to the NFL now that the Jet corners are elite, extremely strong, if not elite. And I think the Bills are going to. I see our weakness in the passing game at our safety. I'm not a huge fan of Joyner at this point. Whitehead, okay. I just think they still make mistakes. I think the Bills are going to, kind of avoid the corners and attack the middle of the field, tight end play. We do rush 4 a lot. Jackson's right. And with Josh Allen's mobility, if we don't have someone chasing him, we could get in trouble as he scrambles and picks up yards. So a couple things on defense we need to do to address that if we're going to win.
Right.
Now, in terms of offense, I think our running game was successful because of Breece Hall, not the O-line. With Vera Tucker out, I think it's going to be tough to get yards. I think our path to victory, if we're serious, I think we need to be bold with Wilson, and bold prediction being, if we're going to win, he needs to throw 300 yards against that Bills D. Now we're going to do that again.
Yeah.
They're not going to expect it, right? They're going to see Wilson as okay. They're going to pamper him, baby him, try to run on us. We need to have him step up and get some balls, to the tight ends, middle of the field, and that's the only way I think we're going to win if we do that. If we just sit back and try to establish a running game, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Then we're going to be throwing on, as Jackson pointed out, 3rd and long. Wilson's going to have trouble with that. So we got to mix it up against the Bills. And we're at home. We got a little bit of advantage in that regard to try something like that. And it's a beautiful day, so we can't blame the win.
Yeah.
I also think. Sorry, Go ahead.
I was going to say, what about design plays for Zach Wilson to run? I mean, you said he's mobile, he can run. What about utilizing his legs?
I think with his knee injury, there's going to be a little hesitation. I think they're trying to, that was a weird injury if you saw it. I mean,
I did not.
Yeah, it was. It looked actually a lot worse than what it was. I was nervous. I thought you guys were going to lose him for the year, honestly, but thank God. You hate seeing an injury like that, so I'm glad that he's good, and we'll see how it holds up. I think it's been good so far. So,
yeah. Sorry, Jackson. Go ahead. You had something to say.
So about I think last year when before Zach's injury, he wasn't using his legs at all, and then he came back after a few weeks, and then actually started scrambling against the Jaguars. He had the 40, 50-yard touchdown run, and he was running against the Bucs, arguably one of his best games. And then this year, after the injury, he just hasn't been scrambling. He scrambles right behind the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't run for the first down. Even if it's no one in front of him, he won't run. He'll just look for the pass. So I'm not sure why he's not trying to utilize his legs more.
Yeah, it could definitely be a help, but like you said, King Randy, I think the concern there's for the knee. But if he is healthy, they should start putting some plays in there for him to run the ball.
He's had some great runs. Last year he had some tremendous runs,
Yeah, so Randy, what's your score prediction today?
If I'm going to be honest, funny that before Jackson said it, I had 27-17 Bills.
Wow. That's pretty funny because I'll tell you what mine is in a little bit. But give me a bold prediction today, Randy.
Well, as I hinted, I think
to 300 yards. Yes, that's
Wilson for 300 plus is our path to victory.
Man,
but it's going to take a mindset change with the coaches, and Wilson's going to need to step up. But
awesome.
I don't think the Bills would expect it.
Yeah. So Jake, let me throw it to you. Path to victory for the Bills, and your score prediction and your bold predictions.
Yeah, of course. I think the path to victory is, taking advantage of that banged up offensive line the Jets have. It starts up front, and I think you got to win in the trenches, get a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson, make him panic like we talked about early on. We got Von Miller playing in this game. They're banged up in the middle too. I mean, you guys, you just lost Elijah Vera Tucker for the year. I think we can definitely exploit that interior offensive line. I know, King Randy, you talked a little bit about that and how you wish you would have gotten a little bit more help there. Unfortunately, you lose Mekhi Becton for the year too. Dwayne Brown's come in, obviously a good veteran player, Pro Bowler, but he's definitely not the same player he once was. So I really look to see Von and him go at it quite a bit today. And I think Groot's going to have a nice day. I could see Eddie Oliver getting in there a little bit. Tim Settle. I mean, we got some dogs in the middle. So I think that's going to be your biggest struggle is, taking care of those guys on the interior defensive line. But that is really, for me, especially having a linebacker like Matt Milano out of the game, we got to get pressure. We got to get home and just make Zach Wilson panic a little bit, And we're still secondary wise. I mean, we don't have Jordan Poyer, but we've been playing banged up in the secondary all year long. With the linebacking unit, though, there's been we had Tremaine out for one game, and then Matt Milano, I think, has played in every game, right?
Milano's been in every game.
So this is the first time we don't have him in a game, and he is an absolute game record. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch him at all, but he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He runs downhill, and it's just unbelievable what he's been doing. I mean, he looks like a brand new, improved player. He looks faster. He makes plays at or behind the line of scrimmage, and not having him in there, you guys have a rookie in Terrell Bernard. So I was talking about Ty Conklin a little bit earlier, so that'll be interesting to see how we match him up. I think it definitely starts up front. That's the biggest key to victory for me. Today also is November 6th, and 11 plus 6 is 17. So while I did say, obviously, the D-line, up front, you're not going to win a game without number 17. So I think Josh Allen's just going to have himself a day. We seem to, and it's crazy, guys. So the Buffalo media and I think everyone in Bills Mafia was kind of losing their minds a little bit after that Green Bay game last week, thinking like this is such a disappointing game. We still beat the Green Bay Packers. We beat a Hall of Fame quarterback by 10 points at home, but it just wasn't. The second half was like we came out flat, and it just wasn't the play that you expect from the Bills. So I think we have something to prove today, and we're going to sort of light it up on them. I hate to say this. My score prediction, earmuffs for both of you guys, 35-14 Bills.
Holy crap.
I'm sorry.
My goodness. Let me hear your bold prediction now. That's
okay.
bold,
Yeah.
bold in itself.
My bold prediction, Mike, and this is a good one because these guys don't hear about this every week like we do either. Tremaine Edmonds is going to have himself a hell of a game, and no one's going to criticize him. And that goes out to our good friend Sean. No criticisms of Tremaine Edmonds. He's going to have himself a day. He's going to really prove his worth there in the middle. He's 6'5". He's a specimen. He's been playing great in coverage all year long. And I think he's going to give Zach Wilson a lot of trouble today.
Nice. That's interesting. I thought you'd go bolder, but okay. So pass the victory for me for the Bills. Look, I'm giving the Jets a lot of respect on defense. I think this is kind of a Super Bowl game for them, right? And I think they're going to kind of look at what the Packers did against Josh. They're going to look at what Miami did against Josh, and they're going to make Josh work hard for every yard. They're not going to give him anything big over the top. At least that's what they're going to try. And if they do that, if they're successful, Josh is going to have to take what's given to him. He can't get sloppy like he did last, second half of the Packer game at all, because they will make plays. I think this defense is better than the Packer D, and that was a good defense. So I think Josh just has to be patient and take what the defense gives him. And there's no heat, there's no humidity like we had in Miami. So take those long drives, take the time off the clock, put some points on the board. My score prediction, I'm with both Jackson and King Randy. I think this is going to be closer than people think. I think it's going to be close at half. We always seem to be close right at halftime, right? We come out, we're a better second half team until last week. And I think it's close even through the third quarter. I don't think we cover, but I'm also going to go with the 27-17 Buffalo wins this game. Bold predictions for me, I'm going to go off of what Jackson said. Make Dawson Knox beat you. Dawson Knox has back-to-back touchdowns. I actually predicted he'd get 2 last week. My bold prediction is he gets 2 this week.
Nice.
My other bold prediction is maybe not a bold prediction, both Rousseau and Von Miller get 2 sacks each. So a minimum of 4 sacks for the Bills in this game. So thoughts on that, King Randy?
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That I feel like I'm being disrespectful saying that score. I just feel like for whatever reason, we have these rebound games against the Jets. So I'm kind of just basing this off history right now. I know it's a different team this year, so things could be very different. And I may be eating my words later. We'll see.
Well, what's interesting is this season's been great for the Jets, right? Looking at where we were predicted to be. And we had a couple of games we pulled out that we probably shouldn't have won, but we pulled out games we shouldn't have won. And Jackson and I, even at Denver, if you remember the Denver game, there was an interception late that was not an interception. And I turned to him, we were sitting in the stand, and I go, this is where same old Jets would find a way to lose. And we didn't. We won, right?
Yeah.
And then last week, we're up. We had that pick 6 nullified by the roughing the passer. Oh, we would have been up 17-3. I think we would have coasted at that point. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, that felt like same old Jets. So we have to break that mantra. And, if Jake, to your point, if it's same old Jets, yeah, we get blown out today, but you got to have faith in Saul. It's not same old Jets. We're going to make it a tough game. My heart says of course, we got to win, but my mind says, it's going to be tough to win, but
division game, anything can happen.
Yeah, for sure. Before we close it out and get closing thoughts, Jake, for us, can you mention to the folks in the channel there the 2 moves that the Bills made before the deadline, who we picked up, Hines and Marlowe?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about both of them. Do you see them playing in this game at all? So let me.
I do. Yeah, I see Nyheim Hines returning kicks. Definitely. I think he'll work his way into the offense slowly. I would love to see as much of him as we possibly can because he is an absolute weapon. You want to talk about a guy that can take it the distance. I mean, he's special, man. I mean, Josh Allen was talking about him at practice, and I guess the first thing he said right away, he threw this ball to him, and he's like, man, that guy is fast. And actually, if you look at 40 times, I think he's the fastest player on the team, tied in first place with a 4.38, which I don't put a lot of stock into that, but it's cool to see. Absolutely love the move. I think he's better than Zach Moss, so we won the trade in that sense. I think a lot of people were upset because it's like a hindrance of James Cook's development, but I see it as a guy that can come in and contribute and help James Cook also develop. And they even said, I mean, Sean McDermott sort of alluded to the fact that James Cook wasn't practicing super well. He wasn't getting it done in practice, which is why we didn't see as many reps from him. So I think it's a combination of bringing this guy in as a veteran, but also bringing in a guy that's going to contribute. He's not just going to be one of those moves where we just want to pawn off Zach Moss and get something for it. I think he's going to be a real big playmaker for us. So my dad thinks he's going to return a kick for 50 yards today. So excuse me. Sorry. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But the other move we made, we brought in Dean Marlowe back to the Bills. We traded a 6th or 7th rounder for him, which I think was a great move. He knows the system. He's been in Sean McDermott's system since his Carolina days. And to bring him back in Buffalo, his last year in Buffalo, he had 2 interceptions. And I think that was in the same game, I want to say, against the Dolphins, which actually put us in a good spot. We won that game and obviously helped us with the playoff picture there, because the Dolphins, I believe, were making a run that year. So love the move. I think he's going to get some time, especially on special teams and with Jordan Porter being out. So yeah, I think it was 2 great moves again by Big Baller Bean. I don't know how he does it. I think I'll say this. We were talking about Joe Douglas earlier. I think there's some really good GMs in the AFC East.
Yeah, agree. So, I mean, this has been fun, guys. I want to say thank you so much again to both Jake and Jackson and King Randy. You know, Jackson, do you remember calling me Pepsi Mike?
Pepsi Mike is still your contact name in my phone.
Pepsi Mike is in your phone. So there's a story, but yes, it was all Pepsi. And then when I had my big battle with the C, with cancer, it changed my taste buds. I had to go over. Randy thinks it improved me. Like yesterday, he was telling me it straightened you out to go to the right soda. But
I agree. I agree with that one, King
You
Randy.
agree with that one too?
Absolutely. I'm a big Coca-Cola guy. Pepsi, I'll drink it, but it's not the same. It's not the same. More bite with the Coca-Cola. It's better.
So we fixed one of Mike's biggest challenges in life, and now we got to fix the other with this whole Bills Mafia thing. All right.
How did you guys like the wings in the green room while you're waiting to get on the show there?
Yeah, mine apparently got lost in transit. Better check on that.
Listen, if you guys are ever, thinking about coming to Buffalo, I would absolutely love to take you guys around, take you to Barville, show you the real. I mean, we can go tailgating, come up to a Bills Jets game. I think that'd be awesome. Seriously, that would be a great time.
I'd love to see the Orchard Park Bills.
Yeah.
Orchard Park Bills. Yeah, it's been fun. So Jackson, closing thoughts for you, man. I want to thank you again. I think this is something you should continue to do. You and your dad. Your dad's pretty funny, man. He's good. He's a natural for this, and he's got all that history, years of history. So the combination of you two is fantastic. But thank you so much. Oh, we almost forgot. Jackson has gone to Boise State for 4 years now. He got to see Khalil Shakir. Jackson, you told me yesterday, I think you said you've seen pretty much all his home games. What'd you think of Khalil as a player playing for Boise? And then when you saw him drafted to the Bills, what were your thoughts there?
Yes, I pretty much saw all of his games the last 2 seasons, and he was a game wrecker. So anytime 3rd and short, 3rd and long, we needed a big play. Everyone in the stadium knew he was going to Shakir. He still came up with a big play. He was all over the field, kick returns, punt returns, just making plays. He was absolutely amazing. And you just knew he was going to be a pro. He just stood out. And when you guys drafted him, I was pretty bummed, because I think he's going to turn out to a very good receiver in the NFL.
Absolute steal in the 5th round. I mean, it's very
physical, very fast, very quick, great hands. Some of the catches he made were just those catches should not have happened. It was cool to watch.
He's special, definitely.
Yeah, we've been wanting to see more of him, and maybe that starts today. Maybe it'd be kind of fun to have him beat your team. Now that you cheered for him for a few years.
Maybe get a couple catches with the loss, but
I was gonna say it might sting a little less if at least he has a good game and you guys lose. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And listen, you cannot take any game for granted. The Jets are a really good football team.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, a lot of people counted them out, and I think they've done a really good job this year. So no disrespect to you guys, and I know I said the score was what it was, but I'll tell you what, I think you guys really have a good squad, and I am not taking it for granted. I just feel there's something in me, like you, King Randy. The emotional side gets involved a little too much sometimes, and it comes back to bite me a lot. But we'll see what happens out there. It would be cool to see Khalil Shakir though get a little bit more involved. Do you think with the outside looks that we're going to have with Sauce Gardner on Steph or whoever it is, and then Gabe Davis with DJ Reed or whoever it is? I mean, you think there's probably going to be some more targets on the within the slot at least. So
Definitely.
yeah, it might
Our
be a day.
coverage linebackers aren't great, so I could see Dawson Knox having a very big game too.
Yeah. How about CJ Mosley though, leading the league in tackles? I mean, he is unbelievable this year. I think he's been tremendous. I mean, he's always been a good linebacker, but cool to see him back at full strength.
Yeah, he's been awesome to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Quincy and Quan. I mean, we got
That's cool. Yeah,
some hitters in linebacker core.
Two brothers too, Quinnen and Quincy playing together. That's awesome to see.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's real family. I mean, the Jets, it feels like a family now, which is a great foundation to build the next Jet dynasty. Speaking of Jet dynasty, if you noticed in the back, there's a golf ball display there. He was curious, and I do happen to have a Jets golf ball. So
that's great.
I will be holding a raffle for all of your fans from here today. And then Jackson, I will be available after the Jet upset victory for the post-game analysis to explain to you guys and your fans exactly how we dismantled the Bills today. We'll announce the winner.
So Uncle Jay saying, yeah, you guys absolutely killed it, even for a Jets fan. Yeah, we do have a post game, and you guys are welcome to join us, whether it's to celebrate or to take the loss. But I gotta ask both of you. I need a JETS Jets, and then Jake and I will finish up. But let me hear this from Jets fans. Let me hear what this sounds like. Can you guys coordinate this? Let's go.
On three, Jay. 1, 2, 3.
JETS, Jets.
Should have taken my earbuds out. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm pushing them in more so I can hear it easier. Terrible.
Oh, I love it.
By the way, real quick on that, we almost met Fireman Ed a couple weeks ago in Denver. Jackson came to Boise. We went to the game.
That's cool.
He apparently was in parking lot C, I think it was, the tailgate. We went over there. We forgot to take our beers with us. We were a little lost. We said, forget it. We went inside, watched the pregame. But Fireman Ed was there.
Oh, that's cool.
Man, I would love to see Fireman Ed match up against Pinto Ron, go screws to screws. I'll tell you what, Pinto Ron's a little bit older, but that guy's a psychopath. He gets, I don't know if you guys have seen the NFL film special on him, but they take this ketchup and mustard, they squirt it all over him before the game. It's wild. I don't know where that guy showers because he goes to every game. But
I did see that. That's every game. I thought that was a one and done.
Every single game. It's unbelievable. It's amazing.
I feel bad for the people sitting next to him.
Oh, I
in
know,
the stadium. I mean, it's just disgusting.
Yeah, but Fireman Ed, man, he's a legend. He's a legend there.
Jesus.
So closing thoughts for you, Jake, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I think the closing thoughts are it's a division game. A lot of crazy things can happen. I think we got to come out and not be flat. You got to just have an amnesia basically from that Green Bay game. So I'm hoping that the Bills come out, score on that first drive, and keep it rolling. Keep the foot on the gas, because the second you take it off, this Jets team is too good to let them get into the game. So that defense is good. Just really excited to see the battle too between Steph and Sauce. I hope we see a lot of that today.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Well, that kind of does it. I want to thank everyone again. If you're in the channel, if you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay tuned for when we let you know where Mr. Jackson and King Randy will start their show. I'll give you the link in the description once they get that kicked off. But I hope to see them in a few weeks. They did a fantastic job. There's a rematch, and I think it's about 3 weeks out.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Play the Jets again, and you're more than welcome to join us on our post-game show. I'll let you know when that is and send the link. But thanks again, guys. Everyone else out there, have a fantastic day. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.